Hey guys, welcome to my first ever of these videos. I'm pretty excited for it. There's RJ, say hi to RJ. So I'm just gonna kind of give you a walk around. This is a church that I belong to, my personal church. That I also help do a lot of the tech for. So it's a nightclub in Brooklyn that we set up and break down for every Sunday. And I'm just gonna kind of do my rounds here. So every Sunday, I kind of operate as the production coordinator for different campuses. And this Sunday I happen to be the Brooklyn campus. So one thing I do is I always just kind of walk around and place myself in different areas to make sure that the day is moving smoothly. So I'm setting up some drum hardware right here to make sure that's all good. Drums tend to be one of the hardest things for volunteer forward churches that I've noticed. Hard to get a hang of properly setting up drums. So I always tend to put myself in there a little bit, but we have some incredible volunteers here that get a lot of the work done. So I'm gonna go over here, my man Justin, and we're going to get the stage rack set up. So this is the stage rack here. It is an LM Cases 18U rack. It's got all the wireless in it and stage boxes, which is a Waves LV1 system. So when I pop off the back here, you'll see I completely enclosed it. The reason I enclose it is because when you have stuff open, you can see the patch panels there, all labeled inputs for Cat 6, some XLR, some SDI for the antennas. When you have everything open, like I was saying before, it usually means someone's going to unplug something. So the more stuff I keep closed and pre-wired, less chance of there being issues. Here's the front of it. Mixture of SLX, Sennheiser stuff, and some Sennheiser IEMs as well in there. Here's our drum set. It's a Ludwig Maple Classic, American made. It is an incredible drum set. I absolutely love it. I'm setting up the drum mics here, the kick mic. For this campus, we use SE Electronics mics. I don't really like them, to be honest. I know everyone raves about them, but they're not my thing. We've switched to mostly a mixture of Audix and Shure mics at most of our campuses, especially when we're tracking. But for this campus, we use the SE mics, but I do use a 57 on top because 57's on top forever. We usually have our own cymbals, but this is a great kit. So here's the front of house here. Kind of walking a newer guy through how to set up the LV1 system. That's the LV1 Classic right there. I explain him the difference between sound grid and network. Things you don't tend to think about if you're a pro tech, but if you're new, the difference of an Ethernet cable that's only for Dante or SoundGrid versus an Ethernet cable we're using for internet can be very, very different. So I'm explaining that here. And here's one of the systems that we got. This is a Pro X case made by Z case, and is a great little setup with the wings on either side. There's an SDI cable that someone ripped the head off, which is unbelievably common to find those heads completely ripped off just like that. But hey, you can always fix it when you got the right tools on hand. So like I said, this case up here is a Z case, and it has so much stuff built into it. There's an advanced panel. We got the two monitors pre-mounted on it. We run, one of those is for Resi. One of them is for a multi-view. Actually, one's a multi-view and one is for lighting, which we use LightKey. So LightKey software is built into that. And in the bottom of this rack is all of our network stuff and a ton of other things like that. So pretty cool rack. I'm pleased with it. In a future video, I'm going to show it a lot more in depth at an event that we're going to be doing, kind of how and why I set it up the way that I did. Here we're going through how to set up the session on the LV1 Classic. So often these get set up improperly and the master clock is set to the wrong thing. So I had to show what the master clock is supposed to be set to and why. Otherwise, you get a bunch of glitches and errors and all that type of stuff. But I can't emphasize enough that through all this, one of the main things that I learn is that you really, as a production coordinator, have to be so knowledgeable of everything and all the systems that you've deployed and so you're able to properly teach and encourage other volunteers. Just as much as my job is to be a leader, to push people and to make sure they're working and to make sure things are happening, it's also to be a peacemaker. So by me knowing what's going on all the time, I'm able to help bring a sense of peace to the teams and fix any issues. And when you're in a nightclub, let me tell you, there's a lot of issues. So right here, I'm starting Soundcheck going through the lines and realizing that there is no subs, and I don't know why there's no subs, but I'm mad about it. So I'm going through the channels, just doing some gains, minor EQing, but I'm going to come to find out that we're not able to get into the processor for the speakers, which is a Galileo processor from Meyer. There's a ridiculous Milo Meyer system, which is like a stadium level system. You can see those arrays up there and these ridiculous subs that don't really sound good. But I realized that our system is not properly functioning. So what I do is, instead of using the guest outputs on the Meyer processor, I use the main outputs, and I kind of jimmy rig their system to work with ours. But these are things that you constantly will come in contact when you're working with a venue you rent, or a club or something like this. Things are always changing. They have shows here like 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. And when we come in, a lot of times our setup is changed or different, which is why I try to make as much of our setup only our stuff, and use as little of their stuff as I can. This is one thing I have to use, but was able to figure it out. But now in the back of my head, I'm thinking about next Sunday when I'm not there. What do I need to prep the teams for? What do they need to know so that they go into next Sunday with a win? And this is just part of being on a load-in, load-out team in a nightclub in Brooklyn, which is a weird thing to do. So going back over the front of house, you get a quick view of the whole setup here: Pro Presenter, Resi interface, multi-view, front of house. And we're coming close to the end of the video here. So I'm just going to be starting to run my last little bit of tests, and then we go through the rest of the day and load out the end of the day as well. But if you guys enjoy this and you want to see more content like this, drop a comment below. I'll post as much as I can. God bless.